I've been taking a little vacation. I played basketball for a full year straight, playing 82 games and not missing a single one from college to the pros, which is essentially an entire NBA season. It was a long time, but I feel like I can just keep getting better. Caitlin Clark recently talked about her record-breaking WNBA rookie season and her back-to-back historic NCAA college season. She said she played 82 games and played most of the game, but she didn't complain. Instead, she talked about how fortunate she is to do what she loves, which is to keep getting better. One of the biggest things about my rookie year was that I felt like I still had a lot of things to improve on. On the other hand, A'ja Wilson didn't hold back, and her recent comments are making people ask her if she feels like professional athletes have the most demanding and stressful careers. She also asserts that the WNBA has the hardest schedule in professional sports, and she even went so far as to say that she would defeat NBA player Josh Hart in a one-on-one match. Statements made by A'ja Wilson during her appearance on the Roommates show have shocked both fans and commentators. While some are laughing it off, others are left wondering what's going on with A'ja Wilson. She loves to do two things, but she also plays the victim and is completely delusional. I suppose she's also petty, but this isn't just a few eye-catching sound bites from her controversial opinions about the WNBA's growth to an eyebrow-raising leak from so-called insiders. Wilson has become the talk of the sports world for all the wrong reasons, and the backlash is real and it's growing. In today's video, we're unpacking A'ja's. I have a basketball question for you because of the recent remarks, the stark contrast to Caitlin Clark's response to it, and what this all means for the NBA's future, its audience, and future up-and-comers in the league. I know you work really hard during the offseason, and you mentioned yesterday that you're always trying to improve. Other than the actual basketball skill part, I think I'm focusing on getting stronger, so I spend a lot of time in the weight room just building that strength. It was difficult to go from the college season to the professional season because you don't get to spend a lot of time in the weight room, so that's what I'm doing. As Caitlin Clark wraps up her record-breaking rookie season, she's already preparing for what's next. She skipped the new 3-on-3 league Unrivaled, but she explained, "I didn't rule out doing it in the future, but this year is just not the best for me." Hinting at bigger plans for her offseason. I've tried to focus on the most here, and then obviously a lot of things on the court. I'm always wanting to get better, and that's kind of what drives me, and I love getting to do it, and I feel very fortunate. That's my job. She's working hard at the gym to develop the physicality she needs to dominate in her sophomore year, but there's more to her strategy than strength training. Clark is bringing back a secret weapon, her mid-range game. "I used to have a midi bag, but I never needed it." Clark disclosed that she's now determined to add this important piece to her offensive arsenal. It's a wise move that could make her even more effective on the court. Clark is aware that her biggest challenge is the physical defense teams throw at her team. Their #1 tactic to stop her is to be physical with her. To combat this, she acknowledged that she is mentally and physically ready to handle the pressure basketball has on her. Occupied my life for a year, so I think it will be beneficial for me to take some time to think back on everything that has happened. I feel like I didn't even have time to think back on my time at CU because it went by so quickly, and then I came here and tried to give this team everything I had, move on, and put all of that behind me in order to help this team, get back to the playoffs. Clark strikes a balance between rest and training, and her focus is evident as she actively works to improve her game by strengthening her mid-range shot. And let's compare this to A'ja Wilson's most audacious statement, yet the WNBA has the hardest schedule in professional sports, harder than the NBA, NHL, MLB, or even the NFL. Wilson, speaking on the Roommates show, described the WNBA season as an intense grind, claiming it surpasses the challenges faced in other leagues. To be fair, she does have a point. Clark is preparing for an even more impressive sophomore season, and I expect to be among the best players in the world one day. I think a lot of good will come from that. Regarding some aspects of the transition to professional basketball, WNBA rookies have a hectic schedule that takes them straight from the NCAA championships to the draft with little time for rest, especially if they're coming off a strong March Madness run. There are no combines or long adjustment periods, and training camp starts almost immediately. However, does this really put the WNBA schedule ahead of leagues with significantly more games, grueling travel, and tougher physical demands? For example, I feel like we don't have our rookie orientation, which is obviously a day before the draft, and you're sitting there and talking, but it's as if we don't get to go. Workout for teams, we don't have a combine, you're going, and it's just crazy. So let's break down our schedule. The WNBA season has 40 games, while MLB players endure an incredible 162 games, sometimes with doubleheaders. The NBA and NHL schedules, which consist of 82 games, are notorious for their relentless back-to-backs and exhausting cross-country travel. Not to mention the NFL, where athletes endure weekly collisions over 17 intense games. In contrast, the NBA's compact season, which has fewer games and less travel, seems manageable. They only played 40 games, not counting the playoffs. Major League Baseball players play 162 games, not counting the playoffs. This is so disrespectful to other sports fans who weren't afraid to voice their opinions. One fan wrote, 40 games is tough, another joked. If the WNBA schedule is the hardest, what's MLBA vacation? Many fans questioned how an MVP could seem so disconnected from the realities of other professional sports. Hey, you are a champion, world heavyweight, one fan wrote. Champion of petty delusions and victim blaming, really. You're complaining about the rookie transition in a way that is so disrespectful to MLB players. I mean, it's crazy. What made her claim even more perplexing was the opportunity that was lost. Wilson has the ideal platform to promote the WNBA, highlighting its strengths and special challenges, but instead her remarks came across as tone-deaf complaints, unintentionally making the league seem less appealing to casual fans at a time when the WNBA is. Wilson also said that she could defeat NBA player Josh Hart in a one-on-one match, and let's just say that the internet had a field day with that one. It seems like the score would be like 8-11 me. Not that I get ball first, you get ball first. And she doesn't get ball first, not going to get back in you, but that's going to be your time, like that's going to be your period, which is fine. I'm not saying I'm going go if you scoreless. But nonetheless, A'ja Wilson's claim that she could defeat NBA player Josh Hart in a one-on-one matchup is pretty solid, and she even predicted the final score to be 11-8 in her favor. Let's take a moment to consider that confidence is important for any athlete, but there is a fine line between healthy self-belief and outright overconfidence, and Wilson's statement didn't just step over it, it leaped across it. What do you think it will be, Josh? Josh Hart, who is known in the NBA for his relentless hustle and tenacious defense, took the high road in his response. His calm and playful response on the podcast was enough to diffuse tension, but fans and analysts. Social media erupted in skepticism and humor when a fan posted that Hart could play her blindfolded and still win 11-0. The criticism was harsh, bringing to light an uncomfortable reality, the huge difference between the two leagues, a good 11, probably like 117. Okay, that's fair. You got 7, okay. No, you can't, what do you mean? Let's face it, the physicality, speed, and skill sets required in the NBA and WNBA are worlds apart. If Josh Hart were to play A'ja Wilson one-on-one, he would completely destroy her. It would be 11-0. And just when it seemed like Wilson's remarks couldn't get any more controversial, her next move, criticizing the WNBA's growing popularity, added even more fuel to the fire. Let's face it, the idea of such a matchup being competitive is just unrealistic. 110, you can give her the ball first, block her shot, grab the rebound, and then dunk it on her 11 times, unless there is some rule requiring you to shoot threes, and you can't shoot anything inside 22 feet. You've made it this far and you're enjoying the video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and enable all notifications. We understand that watching this video takes up some of your time, and we appreciate that. Now, let's get back to the action. We're in the women's basketball season, and while it was a lot of fun, there were times when it was really annoying because you feel like you have to constantly defend yourself and defend who you are as a player. It kind of took away the fun of the game because you felt like you had to defend yourself and defend who you are as a player every single. You would think that someone as well known as A'ja Wilson would be excited about the WNBA's increasing popularity, given that the league has finally gained traction, viewership is up, and rising stars like Caitlin Clark are set to further elevate the game. However, Wilson's recent comments indicate otherwise. In the same interview, she called the WNBA's increased attention super annoying. Yes, you heard that right. A league that has fought for decades to gain respect and visibility is now a source of annoyance for one of its most renowned players. Naturally, fans were shocked. It's a contradiction that's hard to ignore. On the one hand, Wilson highlights how hard WNBA players work and demand respect, but on the other, she dismisses the respect that comes with more attention and scrutiny. Social media definitely exploded. One fan asked another, do you want the WNBA to grow or do you want to stay in the spotlight alone? Another fan tweeted, she campaigned for this and now it's annoying, makes sense. The backlash wasn't just about her words, it highlighted a growing disconnect between Wilson's remarks and the league's overarching goals. Difficult to reconcile before Caitlin Clark, who was the face of the WNBA, so it's no wonder that all the ratings and the viewers showed up after Caitlin Clark got involved. However, Caitlin Clark continues to shine by doing the exact opposite, embracing the spotlight and using it to champion the game and connect with fans. The contrast couldn't be more stark, where Wilson sees a burden, Clark sees an opportunity, as evidenced by the number of people who have attended the games, the number of spectators, and the desire to purchase WNBA players' merchandise or wear their jerseys. Wilson's criticism of the league's growth wasn't even the week's most contentious moment, which came with reports that she turned down a lucrative offer from an unmatched 3-on-3 basketball league that had hoped to secure her as one of its marquee stars. I think that the fact that it's changed so quickly shows everyone that there are genuine opportunities here and there. Wilson's remarks are more than just frustrating, though, as they represent a missed opportunity to rally behind the league at a crucial moment when women's basketball is under more scrutiny than ever. Playing in unrivaled, just like Caitlin Clark, but there has been a story in the Sports Business Journal that is confusing and is being completely destroyed right now because no one believes it. However, this wasn't a normal contract negotiation. Rather than quietly declining the deal as Caitlin Clark had, Wilson's camp reportedly leaked details that her offer was even bigger than Clark's. The timing of this leak couldn't have been more egregious just hours after Clark received widespread praise for declining a historic $1 million contract. Citing her focus on rest and career longevity, Wilson's team made sure Caitlin's participation in any league has an existential bearing. No one outside of Asia cares about whether Asia shows up. Fans didn't hesitate to call it out. Clark said no and moved on. Why does Asia need everyone to know that she feels desperate? One user posted another comment, "This is main character syndrome at its best." The reactions showed more than just frustration with the leak. They highlighted growing resentment toward Wilson's perceived need to dominate every narrative, and the move backfired. This is main character syndrome at its best. Wilson's actions often come across as calculated attempts to grab headlines, regardless of the backlash for Unrivaled the Fallout, which was a disaster the league had hoped to launch with two of the biggest names in women's basketball, only to see both walk away. She did this spectacularly by emphasizing that her offer exceeded Clark's, which unintentionally shifted the focus away from her own accomplishments and onto her privilege. This is a recurring theme that continues to alienate fans, which is crazy because literally no one asked, and Wilson chose to respond anyway. Though in quite different ways, Clark's choice enhanced her reputation as a relatable, level-headed leader, while Wilson's strategy left fans wondering about her intentions and the league's capacity to draw talent without needless drama. With Wilson embroiled in controversy, Caitlin Clark is gradually becoming the face of women's basketball. And for good reason. From her record-breaking college career to her professional debut, Clark has enthralled fans with her talent, humility, and unwavering focus. Rejecting an unrivaled offer was about putting rest, development, and long-term success ahead of making headlines. Fans praised her for remaining grounded, with one tweeting that Caitlin Clark just understands the assignment and is focused on her game rather than the fame. Another added that she is not just a star player, but a role model. I believe the thing about leadership is that how you approach every single person will be completely different, and I believe the thing that has helped me be successful throughout my career has been the relationships that I've been able to build with people. This stark contrast between Clark and Wilson speaks volumes. While Wilson seems intent on courting controversy, Clark uses her platform to promote the sport and inspire future players. She recognizes the power of her influence and channels it into building a stronger foundation for women's basketball. For example, someone in their background may be a little more tender-hearted, and for me, I probably want to be screamed at. The WNBA is entering a critical era, and its future depends on players who understand the importance of unity and growth. Caitlin Clark exemplifies these qualities, setting a new standard for what leadership in the sport should look like. Wilson's talent is undeniable, but unless her actions align with the league's goals, she risks losing. Rise represents a shift in leadership, one defined by humility, vision, and collaboration. The reason you play is not the wins and the points you score, but rather the amount of joy you can bring to the young girls who will one day grow up to hopefully be whatever they want to be and get to talk about those moments too. Alienating an audience that is essential to its success as women's basketball develops, these two stories raise a crucial question: which strategy will influence the WNBA's future? A'ja Wilson's attention-grabbing scandals or Caitlin Clark's inspirational leadership for fans? The answer seems obvious, and it's Caitlin Clark's journey that speaks to us. Do you agree? Please leave a comment, click subscribe, and enable all notifications so you don't miss anything. I'll see you at the following one.